Your body is keeping score of every argument you didn't finish, every boundary you didn't set, and every emotion you swallowed instead of felt. That tension in your shoulders, that chronic gut inflammation, that jaw you clench in your sleep, those are messages you've been ignoring for years. And the cost goes beyond physical pain. The same patterns locking up your body are quietly strangling everything you're trying to create in your life. Think about where you hold stress right now. Maybe it's your neck. Maybe it's a lower back that never fully loosens no matter how many stretches you do. You've probably blamed your desk chair, your mattress, your posture, and sure, those contribute. But researchers studying psychosomatic medicine have spent decades documenting something harder to ignore. Emotional states that persist without resolution get stored as chronic muscular tension. Your body becomes a physical archive of everything you've refused to process. Wilhelm Reich, a student of Freud who went in a radically different direction, called this body armoring back in the 1930s. He mapped specific regions of the body to specific emotional holding patterns: tight throat, suppressed voice, things left unsaid, locked pelvis, fear-shame, blocked creative energy, rigid chest, grief held so long it became architecture. His contemporaries dismissed him. Modern somatic therapy has quietly validated large portions of his map. The mechanism works like this. When you experience a strong emotion and suppress it, swallow the anger, push down the grief, smile through the resentment, your muscles contract. That's normal. The problem is, what happens when you do this hundreds of times around the same emotional theme? The contraction becomes chronic. The fascia, that web of connective tissue wrapping every muscle and organ in your body, begins to thicken and harden around the contraction point. What started as a temporary response becomes a permanent fixture, and the inflammation piece adds another layer entirely. Chronic psychological stress elevates inflammatory markers in the blood: C-reactive protein, interleukin-6, tumor necrosis factor. Studies published in journals like Psychosomatic Medicine and Brain, Behavior and Immunity have tracked this connection across thousands of participants. People carrying unresolved emotional burdens, unprocessed trauma, ongoing resentment, suppressed grief show consistently elevated inflammatory profiles. The body treats unresolved emotional material the way it treats a wound that won't close. It keeps sending the repair crew over and over until the inflammation itself becomes the disease. So what does any of this have to do with manifestation? Consider what manifestation actually requires at the physiological level. You need to hold a clear intention. You need sustained emotional coherence. The ability to feel the state of your desired outcome consistently enough that your behavior, decisions, and attention align with it. You need your body to be in a state that supports creation rather than defense. And chronic tension and inflammation put your body in permanent defense mode. Your system is spending its energy managing an internal threat that never resolves. There's a budget for what your body can handle at any given moment, and chronic pain and inflammation eat most of it before you even start trying to create something new. The HeartMath Institute has published research showing that emotional coherence, a measurable state where heart rhythm, breathing, and brain activity synchronize, directly correlates with cognitive performance, intuition, and the ability to sustain focused intention. Chronic tension disrupts this coherence at the root. Your heart rhythm stays jagged, your breathing stays shallow, your brain stays in a scanning for threat pattern. You can repeat affirmations all day in that state. Your body is broadcasting a completely different signal. Picture someone trying to tune a radio to a specific frequency, while someone else keeps bumping the dial. That's what attempting manifestation looks like when your body is locked in chronic tension patterns. Every suppressed emotion is a hand on the dial, nudging you back toward the frequency of the original wound. This is where it gets personal. The emotional patterns creating physical tension tend to cluster around a few core themes: unworthiness, unsafety, the belief that you have to earn love through performance, the conviction that expressing your real needs will lead to abandonment. These aren't just thoughts, they've become physical structures in your body. Your tight hip flexors carry them, your inflamed gut processes them, your clenched jaw guards them. And those same core beliefs are the ones sabotaging your manifestation efforts. You can visualize abundance while your body is physically organized around the pattern of scarcity. You can affirm self-worth while your shoulders are curled forward in a posture your body learned at age 7, when making yourself small felt like survival. The body wins that argument every time. It has to. It was here first. Bessel van der Kolk's research on trauma and the body demonstrated that traumatic memories are stored somatically in the body itself, and that talk therapy alone often fails to release them because the storage mechanism is physical, not cognitive. You can understand your patterns intellectually and still carry them in your tissue. Understanding is necessary. It's the beginning. But the body needs its own form of resolution. This explains a pattern that frustrates so many people working with manifestation practices. They do the visualization, they journal, they set intentions with genuine clarity, and certain things manifest easily, usually the ones that don't bump into a core wound. But the big ones, the deep desires that are tangled up with worthiness and safety and identity, those stay stuck. The obstacle is below the neck. Somatic therapies, trauma-informed bodywork, somatic experiencing, certain breathwork practices work by directly addressing the physical holding patterns. When the fascia around a chronically tight psoas muscle finally releases, people frequently report waves of emotion surfacing, grief they forgot they were carrying, anger from decades ago, fear with no clear origin that suddenly feels ancient and familiar. The body was holding it all in escrow, waiting for permission to let go. The release changes more than the physical symptom. People describe shifts in what feels possible afterward. Opportunities they would have overlooked suddenly register. Conversations they would have avoided become easy. The energetic signature of their presence changes because the body is no longer organized around defense. It reorganizes around openness. And openness is the prerequisite for receiving anything. A relationship, a career shift, a new version of yourself. There's a feedback loop here that works in both directions. Emotional suppression creates physical tension. Physical tension reinforces the emotional pattern by keeping the body in the posture and chemistry of the original wound. Breaking the loop from either direction helps. Process the emotion, the tension eases. Release the tension, the emotion surfaces for processing. The most effective approaches work both channels simultaneously. One practical entry point: notice where your body tightens when you think about the thing you want most. Close your eyes, bring the desire to mind, and scan. Where did your body just contract? That contraction point is a map. It's showing you exactly which unresolved pattern stands between you and the thing you're reaching for. The tension isn't random, it's specific, and is connected to a specific emotional theme that has been running your decisions longer than you realize. Critics of the manifestation framework would argue that you can't think your way into outcomes, that material conditions matter more than mental states. They're partially right. Material conditions matter enormously. But here's what the somatic research adds to that picture. Your capacity to recognize and act on opportunity, to make the call, to say yes, to tolerate the vulnerability of wanting something, is directly regulated by the state of your body. A system locked in chronic defense literally filters out information that doesn't match its threat model. You miss the email. You hesitate on the pitch. You self-sabotage the relationship at exactly the moment it starts requiring real openness. The body's holding patterns become perceptual filters. The inflammatory component compounds this. Chronic inflammation is linked to reduced motivation, impaired decision-making, and something researchers describe as sickness behavior, a withdrawal pattern where the organism conserves energy by disengaging from the environment. You experience this as brain fog, low drive, the feeling that everything requires more effort than it should. You blame discipline. The inflammation is eating your bandwidth before you even sit down to work. Resolving this takes time. The patterns built over years and decades don't dissolve in a weekend workshop, but they do dissolve. The body is remarkably willing to let go of holding patterns once it receives the signal that the original threat has passed. That signal has to come through the body itself, through breath, through movement, through touch, through the slow thawing of tissue that has been frozen in a shape it no longer needs. Every chronic tension pattern in your body is a sentence you started and never finished. The inflammation is your body's way of underlining it, and the things you're trying to manifest are waiting on the other side of that unfinished conversation, between you and the version of yourself your body has been protecting all along.